has been mostly around creating right content, right segments, and predict the right time to deliver the message, etc. While we have also heavily invested in them with AI powered personalization, send time optimization, etc., we have also looked at harnessing AI in email delivery. At least as per my limited knowledge, very few people ventured into this area. So let me walk you through on what we have done. So usually, when a marketing campaign is scheduled, the list consists of users across the spectrum. Some are super active users, some are dormant users, some are best customers, worst customers, pineapples and bananas. All of them are part of the mix. All email IDs are not equal, right? So, but when it comes to NTAs, the final delivery layer, they treat them with no difference. The delivery thresholds are usually configured per domain, per mail stream, per customer, etc. But the larger point is that they are not dynamic in nature. So effectively, your dormant users get delivered at the same throughput and priority as your super active users. And the mailbox providers usually don't appreciate a sender delivering to inactive users at a high speed. A real world example to establish the case, right? Suppose a brand XYZ does an email campaign to 2 million users, and right after that they schedule a re-engagement campaign to the users who are on the verge of churning out. Now the first campaign, which is the regular campaign, gets delivered in the default setting, and let's assume delivering at 1 million emails an hour, and delivery has been proper and all of that is done properly. But the second case, the dormant campaign, also gets delivered at 1 million emails per hour, which most likely might not be treated well with some of the mailbox providers. So MTS don't understand the user behavior and adjust the throughputs accordingly. But MTS do understand the mailbox provider feedback. They get it in real time, and some advanced MTAs can adjust throughputs intelligently, but that too is 50% of the story. They still don't get the context of the data and campaign and adjust throughputs. So they're not supposed to either. So the thought was to build an intelligent layer that understands the context of the campaign and also real-time ISP feedback and adjust the delivery throughputs for best of the results. Enter Raman, our AI engine that sits at the center of all our AI-driven technologies. So we have leveraged Raman's existing tech stack and built a contextual email engine just before the MTA. Right, this engine just sits just before the MTA and does the following. Right, it understands the context of the campaign. So when a campaign gets scheduled, it breaks down the campaign into hundreds of micro segments, and each of the segment will have its own priority and throughput setting, and the MTA is in complete harmony with this to understand and deliver according to these throughputs. So the MTA is now understanding the context of the campaign and delivering it accordingly. The real-time feedback from the mailbox providers, which is by default given to MTA, is fed in real time to Raman's AI engine, and this feedback is also read for any adjustment in throughputs and data priorities, etc. It is humanly impossible to keep track of thousands of IPs and customers and adjust delivery accordingly. Hence, it has to be AI. In the earlier example of 2 million regular campaign and 1 million re-engagement campaign to the users on the verge of churn, this engine schedules best customers in the 2 million campaign with high priority and speeds. And as the campaign progresses towards users who are less active or towards the dormant users, the speeds and priorities are reduced. So also the entire dormant campaign the entire dormant campaign of 1 million users, that gets delivered at a slower pace than the original campaign. So this helps in spreading the load, and also since you are starting your day with targeting best of your users, the dynamic reputation that builds can help in inboxing better. So the entire campaign gets delivered in a staggered fashion. So so after all this hassle, delivering each of the campaign with different throughputs, and taking the load of AI and everything, right? So there has to be a result, right? So we have tested this on 100 plus enterprise customers of ours, and there is an average inboxing uplift of about 16%. And thereby, of course, when there's an inboxing uplift, there's an ROI uplift too. But this is across 100 plus enterprises that we power, and each of them deliver anywhere from 20 to 500 million emails a month, right? So that's the size of the customers that we're talking about. And there are certain caveats for this entire approach. Time sensitive campaigns don't work with this approach. For example, transactional emails like sign up confirmations and order receipts, or and triggered campaigns like bank statements, or any of the triggered job alerts or something like that. Or send time optimized campaigns, which are supposed to be sent at a specific schedule. So anything that is time sensitive, that does not work with this approach. This is primarily designed for campaigns which are not time sensitive, which are primarily purely for marketing campaigns. And also this needs history to be built up. Cannot be done from day one. Any AI based technique that gets built needs a good amount of history, and this also requires a history of at least 3 weeks to build up, and at least 6 weeks for it to really start showing any kind of good results. But all in all, there is a gradual uplift of inboxing and everything that we have seen. So after all this, we have sort of made this as one of the default engines that is available for our customers to deliver emails from. So this is one of the reasons why a large amount of customers see an uplift in inboxing when they switch to Netcore's email engine. By this, I think I'm almost at the end of my presentation. At this point, I'd like to give a shout out to Unsplash for their beautiful images. That's where I got them. Thank you for attending the presentation. I'd be glad to take